Hello and welcome to this edition of Temple Athletics. I'm Becca Hendrickson here alongside Kevin Ott, and we're here to give you an inside look into Temple's Division I athletics programs. Today we're joined by two members of the women's basketball team. We have Natasha Thames and Tiana Williams. Thank you, ladies, for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Now, you were picked 9th out of 10 in the preseason coaches poll for the American, and you have one of the hardest schedules in the country. UConn was last year's national champion, and Louisville was the runner-up. How important are wins in these non-conference games?
These ones are very important for us. Being in a new conference, the competition level is very different from the A10s. We just need to work hard and just try to get better every day and try to match the intensity of other teams in the conference.
Tiana, anything to add there?
Basically the same thing she said, we knew coming into this season that it was going to be a tough season, but with our history as a program, we're used to playing tough teams, You can't be the best unless you beat the best. So it's a good thing for us. We're all excited about it, and we're looking forward to it.
Now, you're off to a phenomenal start so far this season. You're currently 3-0, and you actually opened with an exhibition game against Westchester. Now, the Golden Rams may be Division II, but you absolutely handled them, nearly doubling their score, 116-59. How did that game kind of build up your team confidence going in?
It built it up a lot because it was just a booster for us. We were on a high from it. We played really well together. We played good defense, and just building off from that game, I think helped us with our next win, our first game.
Yeah, a game like that, it's the first game where you actually see how you guys are going to mesh. And, scoring 116 points is a phenomenal job in itself, but we saw our defense, we saw our intensity, and most of all, we got a feel for each other's chemistry. It was a great chemistry, and we kind of just built off of it going into the first game of the season against LaSalle and the two after that.
All right, in the home opener against Auburn, you were down 44-26 at the half, but then you came back and won 78-74. Basketball is often it's referred to as a game of runs. So how do you keep the momentum on your side?
Well, it's kind of like just don't give up, because you always know, even if you're up or down after the first half, the second half, our coach at halftime, she always lets us know, all right, the first half is over with, whether we're winning or losing. The second half, she always tells us it's a brand new game. Think of the score as 0-0. Mm-hmm. And the first 3 games of the season, we've been down at halftime each of those 3 games, but we came into the second half thinking, okay, it's 0-0. And we picked up our intensity, and we worked harder, and we were able to get wins.
Natasha?
Just like what Tiana was saying, the first half is over, so we just need to focus on what's next. So just in the locker room, we kind of just encourage each other and just talk to each other, talk about things that we didn't do, what we need to do, just give pointers on personal things that people haven't been doing, and just being honest with each other and just keeping our spirits up, not getting down on ourselves.
And you opened the season on the road. You won against LaSalle. You went on a 19-0 stint to close out that game. On top of that, in that Delaware game, you held them to just 1 bucket in the final 12 minutes. How important is the strategy going down the stretch of the game more specifically? You've talked about the second half in particular, but now just those final couple minutes.
Just knowing how to put teams away, just staying together.
It's basically, we know that we can be a very good defensive team, and we know that, our coaches know that, but most of all, we work hard to be a good defensive team. And coming into the second half, each of those 3 games, we had big runs in the second half, but we can't make those runs in the second half. We have to make those runs in the first half and the second half so we can really put teams away. It's a great thing that we're able to do that, but we're looking forward to doing that in the first half and the second half.
Now, you're the Big 5 reigning player of the week. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. In Saturday's win over Auburn, you had a career game, 29 points, including 5 3-pointers. How have you been working on your perimeter game preparing for the season?
Well, pretty much all preseason, I was putting in a lot of shots with one of our assistant coaches, the coach for the guards. She got on me hard this preseason, her and Coach Cardoza. They stressed the fact that I only shot 29% from the field last season, and they really stressed the fact that they wanted me to become a better shooter. So I worked hard. I'm still working hard. You know, I'm putting in a lot of shots. But, I mean, that Auburn game, I couldn't sit here and take all the credit for it. You know, my teammates, they recognized that I had a hot hand, and they got me the ball in my spots, my open spots, and I was just able to knock it down. But I couldn't sit here and take all the credit. You know, my teammates, they made the plays. I just finished it.
On top of that, in that game, you went a perfect 8 for 8 from the stripe, which I believe. And so how important, just in basketball in general, is it to be perfect from the free foul line?
Well, free throws, I kind of think they get overlooked a lot of times. But us as a team, we shot very well from the free throw line. And, you know, coming down the stretch, Auburn, in that game, it was a close game. So had I not shot 8 from 8 from the line, or had Fee not shot whatever she shot from the line, or Taj making her free throws, you know, maybe the score would have been different. So free throws are very important. We shoot free throws a lot in practice. Our coach, she always makes us shoot them when we're tired. So I think that kind of carried over into the game.
Now, Natasha, you're a senior on this team. You had a really strong season last year. You started in all 31 games. On top of that, you were second on the team in rebounding, I believe, just behind Victoria McCauley. Now, she's graduated and gone. So now, as a senior, how are you stepping up to be the leader on this team?
In the previous seasons, I led by example, and I wasn't really a vocal person. So this year, being one of the only senior with Shahara, I have to be more vocal and just demanding more of everybody and making sure that everybody's doing their role and doing what they're supposed to do. And me stepping up personally, I have to have a bigger role on the team. Just being more aggressive offensively, just playing the best that I can play every game, give it all I can to help my team win.
Now, to add to that leadership, you also have a transfer grad student, Shahara Ship. She had a pretty successful career at George Washington, but made her mark. How is she making her mark as an owl?
I mean, Ship, she's kind of the Energizer Bunny a little bit on the team. You know, she works very hard. You know, of course we know she can score, but you know, our coach has stressed her that they wanted her to become a better defensive player, and she's been working extremely hard to do that. You know, she's grabbing a lot of rebounds for us in the game, some crucial rebounds that we need. And she's been very vocal. You know, she's been a senior to us. You know, a lot of us look up to her. You know, we look forward to her input, and she's working very hard. So, you know, we're just looking to just keep moving forward with her and Tasha as our leaders.
Now, just looking at the team in general, you have a pretty even overall spread on the team. Last year you had, I believe, 6 freshmen on the team and only 1 senior. This year it's 3 freshmen, it's 2 seniors, so it's more spread out. How crucial is the fact that you have people spread out in every age to team success, do you think?
I think just having the experience, because last year we were very young and we expected a lot from the freshmen. And it's a lot to ask for just coming in and being for your first year. But now that they have that year of experience under their belt, they're more comfortable playing in games. They're more comfortable talking to each other, being leaders as well. You don't have to be a senior to be a leader. You can be leaders in different ways. You don't have to be the oldest one or the most experienced one to step up for your team.
Your next game is Tuesday night against Michigan State, which they were nationally ranked. It's your first of what should be many games against ranked teams this season. How are you preparing for that?
You know, we're just keeping the same work ethic that we had going into the last 3 games. You know, we're working hard in practice. We're focusing on defense, but we're also focusing on rebounding now because we know that Michigan State is a big team. You know, we know that they're going to work extremely hard, and we know that we have to box them out. So we're really just paying attention to little details. Of course, we're coming in this game, you know, wanting to win. So we're preparing ourselves to win this game, and we're just going an extra mile now because we know that they're a ranked team. But this is a game that we really want, and we're going to fight to get.
All right, thank you, ladies. Coming out of the break, we'll be back with head coach Tanya Cardoza. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome back to Temple Athletics. Once again, I'm Becca Hendrickson here alongside Kevin Ott, and now we are joined by the head coach of the women's basketball team, Tanya Cardoza. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
For having me.
Now, in your first 3 years at Temple, you made it to the NCAA tournament, And in your 4th year, your squad reached the NIT. You had a little more difficulty last season, what with the younger squad, and the competition proved to be a little tougher. How is your team looking to rebound this year?
Well, I felt like the first 3 years, we were really experienced and we played really good basketball. I felt like that 4th year, we let a couple of games slip away early on in the preseason. I still felt like we did enough to get into the NCAA tournament, but someone had to vote on it, and you usually don't want to put yourself in a situation where someone has to vote on something. So that NIT was an eye-opener for us. And last year, obviously, we had 6 freshmen, a lot of inexperience, but it was a learning experience for a lot of guys. Freshmen and our sophomores didn't really play a lot coming in, so it was a new group. And I felt like this year, we had that experience, we had that leadership that we lacked last year. And so far, we've gelled and meshed, and it's been paying off for us.
Now, you've had a lot of 20-win seasons, and you had win number 100 in your first 5 years at Temple. You've just signed 4 players to the team. How do you go about recruiting such talent in freshmen?
Well, our staff, we do a really good job of identifying players that will work well in our system. Sometimes it's not always about the best scorer or the best defender, but someone that's going to mesh and gel and be very unselfish and work extremely hard on the little things. And we have players that are not about themselves, they're about the team, and you can see that right now. We have 5 guys in our first 3 games averaging double figures because we share the ball. We tried our best not to have 1 or 2 people dominate on the scoring end of it.
Now, personally, this is your 6th season at Temple. In the first 5 years, we talked about that 100th win. In 3 of those 5 years, you were voted Big 5 Coach of the Year. Personally, what do you attribute this success to?
My mentors, obviously, being able to work under Gino and Chris and Jamel for so many years and learning the ropes of coaching. And then my assistant coaches, they do a really good job of recruiting good players and keeping my head and making sure, the one thing is you want to have good assistants around you that are not just agreeing with everything that you do, but that'll challenge you every day. And then our players, they work extremely hard every day of practice. I don't think I could ever fault their effort. And as long as you have players and a staff like that, you're the lucky one.
Now, arguably the most anticipated games in Philadelphia sport on the college level are Big 5 matchups. You already beat LaSalle, and you have St. Joe's and Villanova remaining on the schedule. What are you anticipating for these games?
Just like every year. I mean, it doesn't matter what the record is of either team. When it's a Big 5 game, you're giving your all. And, we got lucky to go into LaSalle and get that win on the road after being down. And then St. Joe's in a few weeks. That's always a dogfight since I've been here. I think every game has probably been about a 10-point or less. So making sure that you get those games that you're supposed to win. But every game is a dogfight. So whether it's Penn, LaSalle, Villanova, St. Joe's, every single one of them is always, you want to be the team that has bragging rights in Philly.
Now, prior to your tenure here, you just talked about how you spent time at UConn under Coach Gino. You spent 14 years there, and he is arguably one of the most successful coaches in women's basketball. He ran last year's squad, who were the national champions. What was it like just to work under such a legendary coach?
I mean, it was amazing. First off, he recruited me to coach for him because I didn't really have intentions of being a coach. But he worked at Virginia, where I went to school, and he recruited me to go there. So the relationship formed early on. But being able to work with someone on a daily basis who is arguably the best women's basketball coach ever, a Hall of Famer, you take bits and pieces of what you've learned from him and you try to build your own program. And I'm hoping that I'm making him proud in what I've done.
Specifically, though, what have you at least seen yourself implementing from working under Coach Gino into your Temple basketball program?
No matter what, you're working hard. You're not going to settle for anything less than everybody giving 110%, whether it's your players, your staff, the people around you. Everyone has to be invested in wanting to be the very best and not settling for anything else.
Now, in this new American Athletic Conference, you will have UConn on your schedule. And what does it mean to the program to now be in this conference with big names like this in your schedule?
I mean, it's awesome, to be able to say that you're in a league with the very best. You have Louisville and Connecticut who played for the national championship in one conference, and now we play against them. That's 4 games on our schedule. And, we prepared ourselves in the past of always making sure that we competed in our non-conference against ranked opponents. And now being able to compete against them in our conference, definitely it's an eye-opener, and it actually is a better recruiting base for us too. Being able to go out and sell that, try to take down the giant, instead of you wanting to go play for them, let's try to figure out a way to beat them. But it's something that we're excited about. And we're hoping that our non-conference continues to do well and get ready for competing in the AAC.
Specifically, how do you see these conference games going? Once again, just to reiterate, last year's national champion, last year's runner-up, that's 4 games right there on your schedule.
All right, and you're hoping to get lucky against those teams. They have very great players, and you're hoping to get lucky, but we have to make sure that we win the games we're supposed to win and put ourselves in a position to maybe, sneak in there. Maybe someone is not paying attention or they let their guard down, and maybe you can roll in there and try to steal one. But the competition level that we're playing against, usually you're not going to sleep on any opponents. So that's why everyone, prepares like you're trying to win a national championship in that game.
All right, thank you, Coach Cardoza. We're going to go to break right now, but coming out, we'll have more with head coach of the women's basketball team, Tanya Cardoza. And welcome back to Temple Athletics. Once again, we're joined by the head coach of the women's basketball team, Tanya Cardoza.
Thanks for having me.
Now, a couple of years ago, you had Petty, Williams, McCarthy all on the floor leading the team. Who do you see as the leaders of the team this year? I
would say the leaders are Tiana, Shahira, and Tasha. Those are the guys with the most experience. Tasha and Shahira being 5th-year seniors, and Tiana, the fact that she had to play all of last year at the point guard position for 30-something minutes. The 3 of them have the most experience, so those are the guys that we're looking for to be really good leaders for us.
Now, Shahira specifically joined the team after 3 years at George Washington. She had a lot of success in her career there. How does this transfer over to Temple, and how does it benefit you guys to have such a veteran player on your roster?
It's huge. Sally decided not to return to school last year. She wanted to go back home to Sweden and go to school there. So it was a big pickup for us, because they play pretty much the same position. And Sally obviously was a freshman last year, and now you get to substitute that with a 5th-year senior, someone who's played in some big games and has a scoring mentality, and someone who's really, really aggressive and wants to be a leader. So it was a huge pickup for us, and we're lucky to have her.
Now, in regards to the freshmen, you have Fiona Fitzgerald, who's had an excellent start to this season. How has she adapted to the college game so quickly?
I think she's done a really good job. I think she's been lucky to have Tiana by her side. Tiana had to experience a lot of things her sophomore year that maybe if she had someone to play alongside her, it would have been an even better sophomore season for her. So I think Fionda definitely benefits from having Tiana on her side, right there beside her to help her through things. And she's just a player that wants to compete. She wants to win. She can play both ends of the floor. But I think they work well together and they balance each other out. Neither one of them has the sole pressure of being the point, so each one of them takes turns bringing the ball up, and it's benefited us.
Now, talking about Tiana specifically now, she's had an absolutely excellent start so far to this season. Looking at that opener against LaSalle, she had, or I believe that was Auburn, excuse me, she had 29 points, and that included 5 buckets from beyond the arc. How has just an accuracy with perimeter shooting played a role into your success so far this season?
I think it's been huge. Again, Tiana took a lot of shots for us last year, and there was a lot of pressure on her. I mean, we're not winning games, and she's the sole ball handler. So for her to try to handle the ball, handle the press, and then try to score for us was really difficult last year. So being able to have Fee in here with her, it's taken a lot of pressure off of her, and now she can concentrate and focus. And she's put the time and effort into it the last few months to make sure that her shooting percentage was a lot better, because last year she shot well under 30%. And you know, if you're a shooting guard, you definitely have to make sure that you're in the gym and able to knock them down. But it was huge. You know, she ended the half knocking down a 3, and then she started the second half by knocking down 2 threes, and then Fee made one, and then Tiana made another one. And basically, that confidence was built with everyone at that point. And usually for us, it takes someone to have that spark for us to get us running. And it's just, I wish it would start in the first half and not just the second.
Now, specifically looking here, you're talking a lot about how Tiana and Fee have such a good relationship and they have good chemistry and they're able to play off each other on the court. Do you see this as one of the keys to your success this season, those two?
Definitely. I think, you know, the fact that both of them can do either position, so it's not the responsibility of just one. And I think, like I said, Tiana having Fee beside her sometimes, you know, playing the point position for 30-something minutes, sometimes it can be taxing on you. So the fact that they both can do it, and then the confidence that other players have in both of them, that, you know, if you're open, one of them's going to find you and get you the ball. But just having that extra ball handler on the floor has definitely benefited all of us.
Now, it seems that another one of your keys to success this season has been the ability to close out games like down the stretch. In the game over in the win over LaSalle, you went on a 19-0 run towards the end, and you held Delaware to just 1 bucket in the final 5 minutes. How do you keep your team poised in crunch time?
You know, that's one of the things we talked about last season. You know, our record was 14-18, and we felt like at least 6 of those games were lost in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. So if, you know, our experience is something completely different, we have a 20-win season. But, you know, at halftime, we've been really focused and concentrating on having a different mindset and making sure that we do the little things. And, I mean, it's unbelievable that you have stretches like that in all 3 games where, you know, you're holding opponents to 1 or 2 field goals. I remember the Delaware game. It was like about 12 minutes left, and we gave up an offensive rebound on the free throw line, and we called a timeout. And from there on, they didn't score another bucket till the final second. So I think the biggest thing for us is just making sure that we stay together and focused. I think we could be a pretty good defensive team, but all 5 guys have to be committed. And I think in the second half of all 3 of those games, all 5 guys that have been on the floor have been committed.
Now, clearly, you also have to attribute the success to just the depth on the roster. In that Delaware game we were just talking about, you had 5 players who scored in double figures. Now, this seems to be a little bit of a different trend from last year when it seemed almost consistently that Victoria McCauley was the leading scorer. So how much has the depth on your roster just been able to build the lineup for this year?
It's been completely different. I felt like our first few years here, the reason for our success was you couldn't focus in on one person. You had a bunch of different guys that can score. And last year, Vic was the dominant scorer, so teams could focus in on her. And, you know, other guys would have to make something up at that point. And we wanted to get away from that. That wasn't a look for us, and it's not something that's not the way we want to play. And I think this year, the fact that we have 5 guys, 6 guys with Meg coming in off the bench that can actually score for us makes us a difficult team to defend.
All right, thank you so much, Coach Cardoza, for joining us. You can catch the women's basketball team back in action on Tuesday against Michigan State. This is a nationally ranked team. The Owls will be at home. Coach Cardoza, do you have anything just to add really quickly about that game?
You know, it's going to be a great game. Michigan State is a great team. We played them last year, and again, that was one of those games, the last 2 minutes were in the game. So we're making sure that it's a home court advantage and get our guys and our fans out there to support us.
All right, thank you, Coach Cardoza. For Kevin Ott, I'm Becca Hendrickson. We'll see you next week for another edition of Kendall Athletics.